Barbie crosses $1 billion global. Oppenheimer becomes one of the highest grossing rated R films of all time. Is Wonder Woman 3 actually happening? And Park Chan-wook's Oldboy gets a re-release in theaters. Let's go over this week's movie news. Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And we have another episode of movie news where we go through all of the industry news so you don't have to. Trailer releases, casting, box office. It was a pretty interesting week. Box office is going strong still. Barbie and Oppenheimer are continuing their absolute onslaught of money making, with Barbie crossing $1 billion globally and over $500 million domestically. And Barbie made $30 million in its fourth weekend. It is on track for a pace of $1.4 billion right now. You said 1.5.
I know, it might hit it. It might hit it.
You said 1.5.
It might hit
you might owe me $20.
Well, we'll see, man. You might owe me $20. Although I should have dropped it to 1.4. In the meantime, Oppenheimer is also crushing. It's become the second highest grossing World War II film. It beat out Saving Private Ryan. And then it also became in the top 10 list of highest grossing rated R films. It has a lot of work to beat Joker. I don't see that happening. Joker made
$1 billion.
Yeah, 1.1 billion. So I don't see that happening. But Oppenheimer is actually on track for $800 to $900 million in its total run. So it is looking to be an absolute juggernaut, even for Christopher Nolan's filmography.
Anthony is jacked up about this news.
I love people going to the movies.
So excited. Look at him. He's just giddy over there.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem came in third place in its second weekend with a $14 million weekend, and it's closing in on $75 million domestic for its release so far. So it's getting close to $100 million.
And we did a Patreon bonus review on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Great plug.
So check that out.
It was a good review.
If you're a Patreon, yeah.
Yeah. And next up, The Meg 2 is doing well with $13 million in its second weekend. It's closing in on $200 million globally. Last Voyage of the Demeter, the new Universal Dracula film, premiered to a very lackluster box office with $6 million in its opening weekend. This is an Amblin Universal co-production with a budget of $45 million.
Oh my goodness. Can we talk about this for a minute?
Yeah, before marketing. So this is another bomb from Universal.
Universal has released two Dracula movies before the fall.
Before the fall!
When was Renfield? April?
It was March.
Renfield was March or April. And then the last voyage of the Demeter is Demeter. August. So two Dracula movies being released before summer's even over.
Also, I mean, I didn't like the trailer because I'm a huge fan of the book, and it looks like they completely retrofitted a new story into it so in the book, Dracula is sleeping in a coffin while Renfield is taking him across the ocean into America. And he feeds on like one or two people, but he's not really supposed to leave the coffin. But in this film, Dracula is just like this monstrous bat monster, CGI monster. And I just did not like the trailer version. I was like, as a fan of the novel, I thought it was just a weird representation for Dracula. And also Universal putting out two weird Dracula adaptations in the same year. It's just, I don't understand what they're doing with the MonsterVerse right now.
Is Renfield even in the movie? Maybe because they made Renfield, they didn't want Renfield to be a character.
It doesn't look like Renfield's in the movie. Yeah. It looks like Dracula's just chilling there. I don't know. I didn't see the film, but I found the trailer to be really weird as a fan of the novel, and I didn't want to see the film. And then it got really bad reviews and mixed reactions from fans. So I'm probably not going to see the movie.
Probably not. And then Haunted Mansion came in sixth place with $5 million domestic weekend. Talk to Me pulled in another $4.7 million. This movie is eventually going to start turning a profit. I believe
it's at $26 million total right now.
And it cost
how
much did it cost?
No, it cost $5 million, and then marketing. I think it's broken even.
Yeah, it's probably about to start hitting profit. Yeah. So it's become a successful film and probably the biggest hit for A24 of the year for sure.
It is, yeah.
Absolutely. Talk to Me. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And then Mission Impossible 7. Still making some bucks, made $4 million.
Yeah, so MI7 has grossed $500 million internationally so far. It's still closing in on $200 million domestic. It never stood a chance against Barbenheimer.
Never did.
So I expect
no one did.
MI7 Part 2, they'll release it next year, probably away from anything.
Well, I mean, I can't think of what's going to be huge next summer besides Mission Impossible right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's
true. Money on movies.
Anyways, let's get into some news, everybody. So Wonder Woman 3, there's a lot of mixed reports about the potential Gal Gadot sequel, or would it be like a reboot trilogy sequel for the new DCU going
Reboot
forward?
legacy sequel with the same cast.
So lots of mixed reports. Recently, Gal Gadot did an interview where she said, quote, "I was invited to a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and what they told me," and I'm quoting, so I'm quoting her, quoting herself, quoting them, "You're in the best hands. We're going to develop Wonder Woman 3 with you. We love you as Wonder Woman. You've got nothing to worry about, so time will tell." However, recently, multiple sources with knowledge close to the situation have since said that Wonder Woman 3 is not in development at DC Studios. However, Paradise Lost, which is a prequel series of Diana, is in development.
Like in Themyscira?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I mean, that would be a cool setting for a series.
no, I remember we talked about that when we went through the whole DCU plan that James Gunn and Safran released.
I remember now,
But
yeah.
it's so odd that there's getting mixed reports where she had a meeting, she says, with them too. I wonder when this meeting took place, and I wonder, obviously this interview didn't happen like probably a couple days ago. It probably happened a month ago because it was in a magazine. Then you have to wait a month for that magazine to come out. So maybe things changed, but who knows? It's pretty odd to get such mixed reports about such a huge character in the DC.
Maybe they're just going to wait a while before they start developing the next film because they might be focused on the reset right now.
No, but like they're not developing a film. It's the TV show, the prequel. That's the Prince. That's Diana.
Yeah.
That's the Wonder Woman series. So that'll probably be Paradise Lost. Cast someone else as Diana. Make movies.
Yeah.
It's just odd. Like you can't do two Wonder Womans.
True.
It's,
I mean, she might be getting
multiverse. Obviously,
she might be getting the boot like Cavill.
She might be. It might be one of those. She might find out on Instagram. Who knows? Like Henry did on his birthday.
We'll see. Next up, speaking of DC, Blue Beetle's first reactions came out, and they are looking very positive for the upcoming DC film. People are calling it a huge win, the first film of the new DCU,
even though it wasn't like
made
by the current heads of the studio.
I'm sure maybe they did some reshoots to connect it better.
Maybe some re-editing.
Yeah. And also, this is obviously the first Latino superhero to lead a superhero film. So this is really great for inclusivity and diversity in the superhero genre, which has been a long time coming. And we saw the trailer early, and it looks like an exciting film, so we'll be checking it out soon.
We're going to see it this week, I think.
Yeah.
Now, some more superhero news related to Marvel, though. So Marvel Studios visual effects artists have voted to unionize. The visual effects workers for Marvel Studios have, for the first time ever, voted to unionize under IATSE, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. This is huge news. Obviously, for the last year and a half, we keep hearing about animation and visual effects artists who are insanely overworked. They have wild deadlines, pulling 6 days a week, 12-hour days, trying to meet the demands of release dates for movies, and a lot of directors not communicating things well. So it's pretty insane to see this happening. It's great for these artists for sure, but man, these studios, they are in deep water the last couple of months. Now everyone wants their share, because this also relates to our next story, where South Korean, the Directors Guild there, is also going on a strike because they want residuals from their movies that play in America that are on streaming platforms. So in an echo of the Screenwriters and Actors Guild strikes that have brought the U.S. film and TV industry to a halt, the Directors Guild of Korea is lobbying its country's legislator to revise a copyrights act that prevents directors from receiving residual pay from hit movies. So this contract prevented them from making money off residuals.
That's
off
crazy.
Movies. So they're probably, I'm assuming, just get one upfront payment. We're going to have the rights to your movie for 3 years or something like that. And then
That's
if
insane.
it gets insane revenue, then they don't get anything from it. And this is going to also as well they'll also be holding strikes for collective bargaining. So these strikes in streaming in the new distribution format that's happened since lockdown, since 2020, and how quickly it's changed, everything's changing. Everyone wants to finally get their share of the pie that the studios are in control of.
This is why strikes are important, because it trickles down. And hopefully the animators, I'm not sure if the animators are in a union, but hopefully Hollywood animators can get into a union of some sorts as well, because after the stories of what you heard about Across the Spider-Verse's animators and kind of the hell they were put through for 2 years, and I'm sure so many other films that animators work on, hopefully we can see bigger changes for the people who are below the line credits that
never get any attention and kind of just are the brunt workforces behind the scenes that nobody knows of. So, well, this is a good sign going forward for visual effects artists and also animators.
And just residuals in general for these streaming platforms, because everything's changed the last 4 years, really. And they got to get paid. They got to get what they deserve.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on. We have a cool interview coming up this week. I want to tease it. So we did an interview with IMAX's head chief quality guru, who's been with IMAX working on production and post-production off IMAX films for decades. He's been with the company since the 1970s. His name is David Keeley. He's helped make Nolan all of his films with IMAX format and shooting for IMAX, and obviously them two started working together to experiment with, can you make a movie shooting with IMAX film and IMAX cameras, starting with experimentation with The Prestige, also post-production work on Batman Begins, but The Prestige was the first time they started experimenting with the format. There's a couple shots in there we found out about IMAX that they snuck in there in The Prestige that you would not know were actually shot with IMAX cameras and IMAX film. It was so cool and fun to talk to David Keeley and get his expertise on the technical aspects of IMAX film and IMAX filmmaking, and also just going over his entire career, the history of IMAX. It was such a great discussion. That'll be dropping on Wednesday, so don't miss that interview.
Yeah, it was a great interview. He had so many nuggets of information about the history of IMAX and its development into narrative filmmaking, and man, it was just so fascinating to hear what the format's history was and how it came to being this basically world-recognized brand now. So it's a great interview. I loved it.
Yeah, I think one little tease for it, one of my favorite things he talked about was Francis Ford Coppola wanted to use IMAX to make Apocalypse Now. And you got to tune into the interview to hear more about that. I had no idea.
Man, crazy
So he
stuff.
was like the original filmmaker that was like, one of the originals that was like, can you make a movie with this? And then Nolan obviously realized the value in it.
Yeah. And we won't say it, but he told us about like what inspired Nolan about IMAX before he even became a director. So you'll hear about that in the interview.
Anyways,
moving on to Oldboy, Park Chan-wook's groundbreaking, violent revenge flick is getting a re-release in theaters this month. Get your tickets now for next week.
Do you think it'd be okay if I brought a hammer?
It would not be okay if you brought a hammer. That would be disturbing. Maybe if it was a toy hammer, yeah. But yeah, it'd be weird if you brought that old wooden hammer we have. That would make people very uncomfortable.
Probably.
There's a white guy with a hammer in the movie theater.
Yeah, that's not a good look. Not a good look. Not again.
Yeah, definitely always run those things by me first. Yeah. This week, we saw the passing of one of the greatest filmmakers in history. William Friedkin passed away at the age of 87. He was a legend, maverick filmmaker, director of films like The Exorcist, The Conversation, Sorcerer.
That's Coppola, The Conversation.
I'm sorry.
real fan
I'm
over
a big
there.
fan.
Start over.
Director of great films like The Exorcist, Sorcerer, To Live and Die in L.A.,
French Connection.
That's what I was going for. We love the guy. If you haven't seen Sorcerer, it's a underseen film and underappreciated film. It's really incredible. And he also made this amazing film with Al Pacino called Cruising, which is so good. So definitely check out those two.
Well, his career is insane.
Yeah. But those are two lesser known films of his that are just unbelievable.
He made Sorcerer, then he made Sorcerer's Stone. Just kidding, he did not. That was Chris Columbus.
But he was just a really cool guy. He was a really cool guy.
Did you know him?
No, I've seen lots of interviews with him, and he's great. He's There's an interview where he tore apart Nicholas Winding Refn.
No way.
Refn interviewed him, and they were talking about Only God Forgives, and Refn goes, yeah, well, people didn't like it, but I mean, it's a masterpiece. And Friedkin goes, can somebody get this guy an ambulance? Gonna get a doctor in here. He called it a masterpiece. And also, James Franco made a short film called Interior Leather Bar, which was basically he made like a deleted scene from Cruising, the Al Pacino film. And because there's rumors about deleted scenes about that film, not substantiated, but Franco, using rumors in his own writing, was like, I'm going to recreate these deleted scenes from Cruising. And so he called Friedkin up asking for advice, and Friedkin's like, You're doing what? Why would you do that?
I cut them because they weren't good.
Yeah, and then he goes, Franco asked him what the deleted scenes were, and Friedkin goes, they were just gay sex. We had too much of it already. We couldn't get, it was just too much gay sex, and we had to delete some of it. It was becoming like a porno. He's like, there was no like story scenes, so I don't know what you're doing here.
Franco just wanted an excuse to make a porno.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I saw an interview where Friedkin tore Pacino apart.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Tore Pacino apart.
He's like, I don't give a fuck what he thinks.
I don't give a fuck what Al Pacino thinks. All right, let's move on to Disney news. What's this over here? So they just revealed how badly the Star Wars Galactic Hotel failed.
So the Star Wars Galactic Hotel, which they closed down last month.
Would it last a year?
It lasted a year, and it lost them
$1 billion.
It lost them $250 million so far. And
yeah, so far, because this cost $1 billion. There's no.
That's what they're saying.
There's no way they made $750 million.
But they're trying to find a way around the losses by doing a tax write-off of $2.5 million per room.
Okay. The tax write-off. This is crazy
Per
what the
room.
corporations can like get away with.
Yeah. Like, come on. Jesus
Have
Christ.
you watched any footage of like people walking through the hotel and stuff?
I remember I just saw the original ad last year, but I've never seen that.
I watched some footage of obviously like YouTubers. They get invited and they'll like do walkthroughs. Of
Yeah, I know
the
Matt
entire
did
area,
one.
and they
Yeah.
do their walkthroughs through the rooms and everything. It looks cool, but for what was it, $2,000 a night?
$5,000 a night.
$5,000 a night?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. $5,000 a night.
Is it that expensive? I thought.
Yeah,
It
I just read it in the article.
was $5,000 a night, or is it $5,000 a weekend?
I believe it's $5,000 a night.
Well, it's a couple $1,000.
Or it could be a weekend.
I think it's $5,000 for like a 2-night stay.
I think it's $2,500 a night, maybe.
Yeah, still a couple $1,000 for a night stay. I watched the videos. Absolutely not worth it. It's cool, but you can't escape.
Yeah, it looked pretty boring, honestly.
Like it's cool. It looks like it's cool for an hour, but then it's where's Luke Skywalker? Where is Han Solo? Where the fuck are they? Like, I don't get it. Where at least even Anakin.
It would have worked better if they had some exteriors you could visit as well,
That'd be cool.
rather than just being stuck inside of the hotel.
I think
Because the whole point of a hotel is to like leave it.
yeah, it's just a stay.
It's just a sleep.
They should just call it the Galactic Star Cruiser Prison. Like that's what it really is.
It would have worked better if it was just part of the park that anyone can go into.
Where even is it? Is it in Florida?
It was in I believe it was in Florida,
Let me
Disney
double
World.
check. Let me check.
I don't think it was Disneyland. I think it was Disney World.
Well, because yeah, Disneyland's in California. The Galactic Star Cruiser. Yeah, it's Walt Disney Resort. So you're paying $5,000 to stay at this hotel, and then you're spending another $5,000 when you're at the parks and doing everything.
And food.
Holy crap!
And travel.
Well, that's what I mean. You're spending another $5,000.
And gas. And merchandise.
Moving on to more Disney news. So Disney Plus and Hulu have raised their prices for subscriptions less than a year after their previous bump, which probably means that they are losing subscribers like flies. So
So when it came out, Disney Plus was $6.99 a month. And then in 2022, they raised it to $10.99. And now
$13.99 per month, and Hulu will cost $17.99 a month. So $14 and $18 a month for these subscription services. I feel like Hulu's worth it because Hulu has a ton of movies and TV
They have the
shows.
meats.
They have the meats. Hulu has okay, Barbies. Yeah, Hulu has the meats, Anthony.
no, because their slogan, Hulu's slogan, is like, we have the movies.
No, that's HBO.
No,
That's
HBO Max is the one to watch.
Hulu has a slogan that says "We have the movies."
We have, it's something like that. I saw there's a billboard on the bus stop.
Really?
On Colorado. It's Bradley Cooper from the Guillermo del Toro film. And it says, like, we have the movies. So it's like, it might not be word for word verbatim, but it just
clearly
Arby's came to mind.
I think Anthony just made this up. Anyways,
I just want a roast beef
think
sandwich.
Anthony was driving past an Arby's and saw a Hulu's billboard and thought Hulu has the meats. Anyways, as I was saying, I think Hulu is probably worth the $18 because they have so many movies and TV shows. They have 20th Century Fox before Disney bought it. Now it's 20th Century Studios. So all of those movies throughout the last 80 years are on Hulu now, plus a ton of Disney movies that are more mature that they don't want to put on Disney Plus. So that seems to be worth it. But man, when you see subscription services keep jacking up their prices, that usually means they are losing subs.
like crazy, and they're trying to make some money back.
Oh yeah, big time.
Economics 101.
And also, like, a lot of people won't even see that news story, so they won't even know there will be a bump in their subscription.
True.
They'll get an email, but it might go into their promotions mailbox.
Their email.
Next up, speaking of, still on Disney, Avatar: The Way of Water was touted as Disney's biggest digital release ever in the United States during its recent earnings call. So Avatar, being a huge hit last year at the box office, was once again a huge hit on digital for Disney. So, I mean, people love Avatar, man. People love it.
They really do. I think they're great. But also, I saw this funny video the other day where someone's like, do you even remember what happened in Avatar 2? And I'm like, wait a second. What did happen?
Yeah,
the thing. Yeah, that
the
thing.
whale. I mean,
the whale.
It was
It's like the movie that everyone sees, but
the sun died. The whale scene.
You like see it just to see it. They're incredible. I'm just kidding. The animation. And
well, I saw it just for the visual.
Sensational, yeah.
The visual effects are incredible, like unbelievable visual effects. But it was 3 hours and 20 minutes long, and you felt it. You felt it. I went to take a piss just to stretch my legs.
All right, talk to me. Got some more news about this film from A24. A sequel has been confirmed to the hit horror movie from YouTube directors Danny and Michael Philippou, and expect a sequel to come in the next couple of years for this film.
Talk to me again.
Talk to me twice.
Talk to me one more time. Talk to me, please.
Sounds like a pop song.
It does, yeah.
Talk to me one more time.
There's probably a pop song called "Talk to Me."
Yeah.
There's every title imaginable for songs.
everything.
And our final bit of news:
Well, getting jacked up for this one.
Ridley Scott, our guy, Ridley Scott. He believes that he regrets he didn't direct Blade Runner 2049. So when Blade Runner 2049 was in pre-production, Alien Covenant was also in pre-production. Ridley Scott basically had to choose which of his darlings to pursue. So he chose Alien Covenant, which was a pretty good movie, but I mean, it pales in comparison to 2049. And he said in an interview that he shouldn't have had to make that decision, but he had to. And he said I should have done Blade Runner 2. And I read an interview. He said he really loved Blade Runner 2049, but he did say it was a little slow and a little long. So he did have some criticisms for it. Although he's a producer on the film, and he was overseeing the script and in production, obviously, but he didn't have his hand on it. And also, Scott and Villeneuve are very different directors. They are extremely different filmmakers. They go about it in very different ways. Their visual styles are both incredible, but completely, opposite in some ways. And so I think Blade Runner 2049 was really fantastic. But also, it's curious to see what he would have done with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wish he would have done Blade Runner 2 as well, even though I love Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
I love what Denis did with that film. Really special filmmaker, and that's why he was chosen to make that movie. Like, who could make a sequel to Blade Runner besides Ridley Scott? I think Denis was a great choice. And, the thing with Alien was we've had so many Alien movies. We've had 7 up until that, and Alien Covenant is kind of.
That's not even counting Alien vs Predator ones.
I like
there are 3.
I like Prometheus and I like Alien Covenant, but Alien Covenant Ridley's a little long and slow as well at times. So
it's not slow. It's just not that good.
It's not as good as Prometheus, I don't think. Yeah. But I still enjoy them. I like both those movies, even though a lot of people they're divisive about them. But there was only one other Blade Runner movie, so I feel like. Even though he said he didn't want to have to choose, he should have had to. I think if I was him, I would definitely gone with Blade Runner.
But I see what you mean about, because I remember you told me that people on Twitter go after Ridley Scott.
Yeah, they do.
They went after him for this. He didn't say he didn't like Blade Runner 2049, and he just said, I had to choose between 2 babies of mine, and he wishes he chose the other way. You know what I mean? It's not like he's saying Villeneuve ruined it, because he didn't, and Ridley Scott loves Blade Runner 2049. But these are 2 movies that changed cinema with horror and then with science fiction, and he had to choose which one to do and which one not to do. So I think he just wishes he did Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
as like a personal thing.
But then, hey, maybe he does Blade Runner 2049, and then
it's not as good.
Someone else does Prometheus or Alien Covenant. He's like, I wish I did Alien Covenant.
Yeah,
you never know. But I think it's interesting.
I think it worked out though, because Blade Runner 2049 is really excellent.
Yeah.
Really wonderful movie.
They're both incredible all-time directors, so that's.
Although everyone on Twitter, after the story came out, everyone was saying 2049 was better than Blade Runner. I was like, Guys, let's pump the fucking brakes here. It's Blade Runner. There's one would not exist without the other.
And also put into perspective of when he made that movie compared to
It's like,
2049.
guys, the recency bias. I love 2049, but it's Blade Runner, guys. It changed science fiction. Kubrick changed science fiction with 2001, and then Scott did it. He changed science fiction with Blade Runner, and not just
Alien.
Yeah, but not just science fiction, but filmmaking in terms of cinematography, in terms of production, in terms of style. Like it's a monumental film, and it's just like people write it off just for the new one. Sure. It's shocking to me how I didn't know what you meant about people not liking Ridley Scott on Twitter. Now I do.
A lot of people hate on Ridley Scott in his later years of his career, and I don't understand why. The guy, people say he's out of his prime. It's like, dude, he's a legend. Is Scorsese out of his prime? No. Is Ridley out of his prime? No. He makes movies. That's what he does. They're not all of Ridley's movies are amazing, but he's made some of the greatest movies fucking ever.
Yeah.
The guy can do whatever he wants. And shut the fuck up. Seriously. People who hate on the people who built cinema.
Shut your mouth.
They hate on the legends.
Well,
it drives me crazy.
Well, the thing is, they don't watch the old movies. I saw someone hated on Scorsese. I made a Scorsese post. I said, arguably, Scorsese has arguably made the best film of each decade since he's been making movies. The argument can be made.
Yeah. For 3, for sure.
And someone said The Departed was the worst Scorsese movie of all time.
The fuck are you talking about?
I was like,
Best Picture.
I was like, that's impossible. Like, how can it be the worst Scorsese movie? And they clearly have never seen Scorsese movies. Because I replied to them. I was like, so you think The Departed is worse than Boxcar Bertha, Scorsese's second movie, which is okay? And they're like, it's The Departed is trash. So you haven't seen Boxcar Bertha. So you haven't seen 95% of the movies this guy made, but you just have to say you've seen 2 movies and you didn't like one of them, and it's the worst he's ever. Like, it's really shocking to see how the opinions people have online are informed by nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's shocking to me. People will go out there and say something so outrageous with absolutely nothing backing it up.
Absolutely nothing. No, I agree. Welcome to Twitter, bro. Well, I told
crazy.
Anthony for 2 years, don't ever. I'll enter the Twitter. You don't have to deal with this. But now he's in, man. He's in deep. Listen to him.
If you're gonna say something is the worst, at least watch the other ones.
It's the fucking Departed. Are you kidding me? That movie's incredible.
If you want to say it's mid-tier and you've seen his entire filmography, you're entitled to that opinion. But you can't say it's the worst thing he's ever done if you've never seen his other movies.
And also, you didn't say he's made the best. You said arguably the best. You know, you can make the argument.
Yeah, that's all it was. I worded it very carefully.
Twitter's insane.
But it's
I mean X. Sorry, X. X is insane. Welcome to X, baby.
It got a lot of reposts, not retweets, reposts.
All right, let's wrap our movie news up right here for episodes this week. Tomorrow on Monday, we are doing an episode on 1999, a year in film. We're going over every movie worth talking about from arguably the greatest year of cinema in history. It's going to blow your mind. Not how many great movies, but also how many just good movies came out that year. It's absurd. We talked about like 100 films. It was crazy. In the biggest genre, comedy. The biggest genre was comedy.
The most. Yeah, it had the most.
The smallest genre, horror and action.
Comedy has the meats.
Comedy had the meats of the 2000s and 90s. It was insane. So I can't wait for everyone to tune into that. And then obviously our IMAX interview on Wednesday. Don't miss that. As well as Thursday, we're doing an episode on
Christopher Nolan ranking.
Oh,
finally.
Yeah. Oh, we're doing with that popcorn
podcast.
That's right. So stay tuned for those great episodes this week.
I gotta edit it though.
Yeah, you better edit that, bro. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
See you next time.
Thank you for watching Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, notifications for sure. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and be sure to check out this other content we have on our YouTube channel.